everybody and welcome to Transgressive Music. I have not done this for quite a while and mostly because I was not too happy with my technical setup and I still am not, but I'm kind of working on it. I guess it has to do with the fact that if you want to have a kind of successful series of reaction videos, and when I'm saying successful, I don't mean successful in the same way as probably other people mean it. When I say successful, I mean kind of engaging with a certain audience and most of all continuously. Now, to achieve that, you have to kind of create a simple setup that allows you just to sit down quickly, and do it kind of fast and dirty, just drop the video and be done with it. And it's never the case with my productions, which means when I'm making a video like that, it's all kind of a lengthy process. And if I do something like this right now, which in the end result will be like 10-12 minutes, it will take usually hours and hours for me to finish it and to kind of tweak around it. And yes, it's true, on the one hand, I have always the tendency to kind of do a little more, to do some kind of a graphical, some visual aids to the video, which most of the other people making reaction videos just don't do. They just kind of switch Spotify on, switch the camera on and just run with it. Which in a sense, that's the way to go, because that's the only way how you can manage to create a large amount of videos. Some of these people kind of make like one a day or even two a day, and this is a kind of productivity that's quite astounding actually, but I think my technical setup here just does not support that very well, but I'm kind of working on it, trying to streamline the things a little bit and just to be able to just quicker start such a video and finish it and have just only a little to edit and to upload it immediately. And that way you can kind of create a flow where you keep going on and people are engaging with you and so on. The interesting thing is that I've made 20 of those needle drop videos and none of them got blocked, which is kind of interesting, particularly because I watch a lot of other people making such videos, kind of a song presentation videos, reaction videos as they're called, and most of them constantly complain about being shut down and their videos getting blocked, and which is a kind of a real problem. But I was wondering why this did not happen to me. Well, obviously sooner or later it will happen. Maybe just statistically, having made 20 videos is just statistically not enough to finally reach a moment where one of your videos is getting blocked. But I think there's a whole range of reasons for that. The first one is probably that I never monetize videos, which doesn't make that much of a difference, obviously, because the holder of copyrights will just come, and if you monetize, they can override your monetization with their own monetization immediately. So if you ever saw advertising in one of those music videos I've made, it's never me, it's kind of the copyright holder, which is fine, I don't care. But I guess merely by the fact that I never monetize anything in the first place, it's already kind of a positive signal that probably helps me along a bit, and also because I just don't my videos are not entangled in any kind of commerciality anyways. I have no plugs, I have no sponsors, I'm not pushing any kind of advertising segment within my video or at the end of the video, etc. So that's probably one reason. The other reason is probably more interesting, that a lot of these people who make this kind of a reaction videos, they have a tendency to go after the low-hanging fruits, and the low-hanging fruits are being kind of a big hits and big names, and I kind of understand why. But obviously this gets you easier into murky waters, simply because the big names and the big hits are kind of embedded into a bigger copyright protection structure. And I always tried to make transgressive music about a series of videos that not always, but mostly are kind of interesting discoveries for you that you probably never heard before or never heard about. So by using some of the original music, I do not encounter that kind of resistance. Also, copyright holders usually go after those which are successful, and I'm simply not successful. So here you have it. But enough of that. This was just a little kind of update, trying to explain this hiatus of mine regarding these reaction videos. I never lost it out of my sight, and actually all the time I wanted to do that, but I was kind of discouraged by my technical abilities here, and it's still far from being optimal, but I'm kind of tweaking it all the time and trying to figure out how to make it better. Nevertheless, let's talk about some music. Let's listen to some music first. I thought today I want to have a look or a listen with you to a musical genre called Raï, which comes from Algeria, from North Africa. And here I want to have a look at an album by the Raï singer Fadela. And Fadela rose to fame in the 80s, mostly with her husband Sahraoui. So this was always like a duo, Fadela and Sahraoui. Yeah, Fadela is actually from Oran, and Sahraoui is from the city of Tlemcen. But this album has entirely been recorded in Tlemcen in, I think, 1986. Now this album includes a recording of their hit Mosel Fik, which is certainly one of the great Raï duets ever recorded. So I thought, let's give it a listen. And this is a great song, kind of famous for its hypnotic sound and overall a great passionate vibe. So let's put it on the turntable and let's have a good listen. And after that, we can have a little chat about it. So give me a second here. Get this all running. Thankfully it's the first song on the record, so this is rather easy.
We are وربت عيني يا الله وراني صابر اسال فيك اسال فيك انا نبغيك عيني يا انا نبغيك متماه
ويا ريح شفته في الظلمة قسم لي خاطري لله لا 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 أنا نبغيك عيني يا أنا نبغيك دلالي ويا ريح سالفك والطولة شوية نصيدر
لا لا انا نبيك عيني انا نبيك بتما
ويا ريح يا نبحر عليا يا نبتي
لا 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 انا نبيك عيني انا نبيك عيني
Yeah, lovely. Let me just take this off. But this is a great song. It's not particularly short, so it becomes quickly obvious that this is also kind of meant to be music for people dancing. I certainly like this. I like this kind of free-floating synthesizer solos there, and the jamming guitar in the background and all this stuff is pretty nice. I know just a little about the lyrics, but this is a rather typical love song of yearning and the desire to fully possess your partner. And I mean, Raï is such a complex artistic phenomenon because it existed on both sides of the Mediterranean Sea, but probably with somewhat different cultural functions. The old Raï was basically a traditional music for weddings. It was a style that actually started by women in the 30s and the 40s, and even then there was this kind of underlying subversion in the music, since the lyrics were mostly about passion, about sex, about drinking alcohol, albeit hidden in innuendos, so to speak. But in the 80s, the grand rejuvenation of Raï had begun by adding modern synthesizers to the music and adopting musical styles from abroad, particularly reggae, I think. And in Algeria, Raï quickly became an expression of youth against a rather rigid, moralistic society. So that there certainly is a political dimension to the music, regardless if a musician in particular wants his music being perceived that way. So certainly a whole bunch of Raï singers ended up in jail over time. Now in consequence, Raï came over the Mediterranean pond to France, where the largest number of Algerian migrants live. And I think the way Raï was picked up in the suburbs of Paris and Marseille, the function of the music probably changed a bit. It became much more a voice of identity, particularly in a climate that could be rather hostile towards immigrants. But here, what we have listened to, this is a good example of kind of the first wave of the modern Raï music in the 80s, relying heavily on synthesizers and keeping the production very small. Of course, this would change 15 years later when big stars like Khaled or Cheb Mami started to expand their palette and created this kind of a studio masterpieces with all kind of international musicians, and that way Raï has really changed quite a lot over the time. So I hope you've enjoyed this. This was a kind of little excursion into the world of Raï in the 80s, and a little bit of musical history coming with it. So this was Fadela and Sahraoui in a recording from 1986. Have a nice day and see you next time.